Hello, and welcome to Book Witches with a B. I'm Orja.
And I'm Colleen.
And in our podcast, we do a deep dive into some of our favorite books using our degree backgrounds. I studied literature.
I studied sociology with a minor in literature and cinema.
So, buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hello. Welcome. I'm here. We're on a precarious table, but we're making it work.
We're making it work. She's here.
I'm here.
Again.
Surprise.
Together again.
Together again.
2 in a row?
2 in a row? No, we had one in between that wasn't
That's
together.
Fair. Okay, well, close enough.
That's fine. Welcome to our last episode of Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Big deal. For those of you who don't know where we are actually at Steampunk Brewworks in Town & Country, St. Louis area, Missouri.
Yeah.
It's probably the best brewery ever. Shamelessly plugging it, and we're drinking some steampunk beer.
Here we are.
So, cheers.
Cheers, my dear.
Woo! We're gonna need beer because of what happens in this last section of chapters, which is like absolutely heartbreaking.
It really is.
So let's head to the chapter recap, shall we?
Let's go. I'm gonna cry.
Chapter 36.
Here we go.
For there in the land beyond the shadows were monsters that dwelled in the night and dined on the souls of children who wandered too close to the woods. The wyvern's cry, the fables of the Baron. Having just realized that they've been sent to die, Violet is panicking about what is coming. The missive states that Xaden has the option of abandoning the village of their enemies and following protocol, or demanding his command. Essentially, they're like, if you want to still be a part of Fourth Wing, a part of the Dragon Riders Quadrant, you'll abandon this village that's about to be attacked. If you want to prove your loyalty, you'll abandon them to die. If you don't, you can stay there and help them. That's fine. They can leave the place to be destroyed by Venom to follow the wargame orders, or they can stay and help fight them off. Violet hopes that her fables are true, at least then she knows what they're up against. Liam uses his signet, which is like super seeing, farsightness.
Yeah, it is super seeing. It's what it is.
To see their enemy, the Venom, approaching. One has a staff. We'll discuss more later on in this and in the deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
They debate whether to help Resin out or abandon them. There are 4 Venom, they realize. There are 4 Venom. One of them is the person with the staff, and there's 3 other Venom as well.
4?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Versus 10 riders and 7 Griffin Flyers.
Okay.
The Griffin Flyer from before comes to tell Xaden that 2 Venom brought down that entire village.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 is an immediate death sentence, and she's like, I didn't come here to strategize with you. I didn't come here to warn you. I came to tell you to leave.
Yeah.
This is not your fight. We appreciate.
Like, you don't need to die with us in this
Yeah,
process.
basically she's like, your country sent you here to die. How about you don't die and just like go and live? And we're gonna die anyways. We know it's coming.
Well, in theory, they're more useful alive than dead.
This is true. Dragonfire won't kill Venom also, which is an important...
Which is rough, yeah.
Yes, only the Tirish knives that they have.
Which are very small.
Very small, but apparently very effective.
They are.
The squad all argues a little bit, and they decide that they're going to stay. Violet gives this really great speech where she's like, no one else had a choice. I also didn't have a choice. I'm a rider. I would rather die a rider than live as a coward. We need to stay and help them. I know, I love that girl.
Get it, Violet.
She's amazing. They plan to evacuate the civilians and then circle back for hand-to-hand combat with the Venom because they can only kill them with the knives.
Yeah.
Sorrengail tells Violet that she's proud of her, and Violet gives no shits. LOL is what I wrote. She's like, I don't need your approval.
I would... If Sorrengail even deigned to look at me, let alone gave me her approval, I would die.
Violet's like, I'm about to die anyway, so I might as well be honest. I don't need your approval, but thanks, I guess. I don't know.
Sorrengail respects her more for that.
Honestly, yes. Violet tells Andarna, who is with them, to stay hidden and run if they fail. Andarna argues a little bit, but ultimately agrees to that. Enter the Wyvern. So Violet's suddenly thinking back. She sees what she thinks is a dragon initially fly above, and then she remembers it's only 2 feet, on this dragon. So it's a wyvern, and she remembers Mira saying that she thought she saw a riot of dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Those were wyvern, because Mira also saw blue fire, which is the type of fire that wyvern breed.
Oh, I forget about the blue fire
Yes,
thing.
it's not normal fire, it's blue fire.
I guess I knew they did fire, but I don't think I processed that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Violet mentions that General Melgren will know the outcome of this battle due to his signet, but this is where we find out.
Yes.
Xaden reveals that the rebellion relics that mark all of the marked ones actually block the signet when there's more than 3 of them in a group together.
Which is why they can't have more than 3.
Yes, Melgren can't see anything about them, so he doesn't even, literally sent them there and was like, don't know what's going to happen to them, don't care.
Don't care.
Xaden promises to tell Violet all of the secrets that he's been holding from her if she stays alive. And Violet admits that she still loves him, but she's also like, kind of hate you though.
No, valid.
But also, please stay alive, because I can't imagine a world without you.
Yeah. That's very fair.
The Venin are looking for something in the trading post, it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
And even the dragons actually can feel something out there in the trading post. Taryn says something about, there's something there that they want, I can feel it.
Yeah.
While they're fighting, we realize that dragons and griffins can communicate. It's
Which is
like
wild.
this throwaway line
Yeah.
where Violet's like, you can talk, and Taryn's like, how do you think we communicated before humans?
And I felt the sting from that, because I also was surprised.
Well, like, what do you mean?
Like, what do you mean? You're different species.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Soleil dies. Soleil dies. There's an L at the end, but it's silent. Like the G in Wicked when Glinda. Okay, so Wicked's coming out, and I'm really super duper excited for it. My sister-in-law and I have been waiting for this movie to come out since before she got engaged to my brother 10 years ago.
I also love Wicked, but I don't think as much as you.
There is this part in the musical version where obviously Galinda's name is Galinda, but their one professor calls her Glinda, and then he dies, and from then on she's like, it's Glinda, the G is silent. Anyways, Soleil.
I do remember that. Soleil.
Yes. Soleil dies when a Venin channels magic from the ground that she's standing on, as does her dragon.
Terrifying.
Yeah, so this is where they realize that if you're on the ground, Venin can steal your life force and kill you that way very easily.
Which is terrifying if you're not on a dragon.
Yes. Violet gets the wyvern and Venin's attention in an attempt to get them to a place where she can safely hit them with lightning, because she's still not great at aiming, bless her.
It does not improve much.
It does not. She wields bolt after bolt as the rest continue fighting, and she's at this point wielded more lightning than she ever has before.
Yeah. Hopefully no burnout.
While she's doing that, she gets distracted and doesn't see a wyvern coming for them, and Day and Liam save Violet and Taryn from that attack. Liam falls onto Taryn in the process, and Day continues fighting, and then tragically, I summarize this very succinctly because I can't even. Very tragically, Day is killed, and as we know, a dragon without a rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead. Before passing, Liam manages to ask Violet to take care of his little sister Sloane the next year, and she promises that she will. And Xaden also gets there in time to say bye to his foster brother, his brother who he's taken care of, and it's absolutely gut-wrenching, and I definitely cried while I was doing this, but we're not crying today. That's not for the podcast.
I'm already tearing up.
Shh. Me too. After this, absolutely heartbreaking moment, it's up to Violet to kill the Venin and the wyvern. Xaden says, Liam told me to tell you there's only 2 Venin, and you're lightning, and you can do lightning, so you can kill the wyvern, but there's only 2 Venin riders, and they don't know why Liam told him to tell her that. The chapter ends with Violet killing a wyvern and Taryn screaming in pain. Which brings us to chapter 37. Woo. But it was the third brother who commanded the sky to surrender its greatest power, who finally vanquished his jealous sibling at a great and terrible price. The origin, the fables of the Baron. What does that mean? We don't really know.
We don't really know.
We have no idea.
It's just mentioned.
Yep. Chapter 37. There's a Venin on Taryn's back. The one who killed Soleil, actually.
Yeah.
Violet fights with the venom. She, like, gets up out of her saddle and turns like, don't you dare. And she's like, I'm not going to let this venom kill you.
Yeah, like, we're not doing this.
Yeah, so she, like,
also,
gets up. Yeah, yeah, everyone's going to die.
Everyone's gonna die.
She gets up out of the saddle and fights with the venom on Taryn's back. Her arm breaks and she's hit with a poisoned dagger. The venom then taunts Violet and says she could rule the skies, but clearly has no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
She reveals that she's a student. She's basically like, I could kill you or I could give you to the sage. Sage being, you know, obviously a teacher. I think the one with the staff, possibly?
Yes.
Is what we're thinking it is. And Xaden throws shadows around Taryn, Violet, and the venom. And he's like, you need to kill her. And you can use this to your advantage. So Violet basically, like, does a small bolt of lightning to disorient the venom in the shadows and manages to stab her in the heart, killing her. And when she does that, like, dozens of wyvern fall to the ground dead. So we realized that Liam was saying that because same but opposite to dragons. Venom without a wyvern is whatever, but a wyvern without a venom is dead. So the venom with the staff seems to be the leader, and he has a moment with Xaden, and then he like stares at Xaden, and then he disappears. Violet uses Andarna's power to help aim her lightning and kill another venom, despite being about to burn out, and Xaden takes out the last venom because the sage is gone, so there was only three remaining.
Left, yeah.
And Violet falls from Taryn's back, ready to die. She's like she burns out, basically, and she's like, well, I'm gonna die now. At least Andarna will live. And she's like, Taryn, you just have to choose to live. If you choose to live, Sigale won't die, Xaden won't die, I'll be the only one to die. Brings us to chapter 38. Woo! This last section goes by so quickly.
It goes by so quickly, and it's so sad.
So sad.
Oh, I forgot the ending of this one. Okay, sorry, I just remembered.
Oh, okay. Chapter 38. In the event that you come across a poison you do not recognize, it is best to treat with any and every antidote. Either way, the patient will die, but at least this way you would have learned something. Major Frederick's Modern Guide for Healers.
Rough.
Andarna catches Violet as she's falling, and they descend to the ground. Xaden holds Violet, realizes she's been stabbed with a poisoned knife, and begs her to live, and she finally passes out. She comes to Xaden and others trying to figure out what to do, where to go to save her, and then she kind of passes out again. They reach the destination that we still don't know what it is yet, and a familiar voice calls out, but Violet is past the point of being able to place it. Which brings us to the last chapter in the book. Chapter 39. You're all cowards. The last words of Fen Ryerson, redacted.
Which I love.
He's so right.
I love Fen Ryerson.
Me too. Oh,
Bless
God.
him. Makes Xaden make a lot more sense.
It does. This chapter is from Xaden's point of view.
Which I forgot about.
Yes.
This is the first, switch we get.
Yes, the first switch we get, and it's the last chapter in the book. It's been 3 days since the battle, and Violet still hasn't awoken. Xaden is filled with guilt at keeping secrets from Violet, at her injuries, and at Liam's death as well, of course.
Yeah.
Taryn agrees. Taryn is like, yes, you should feel guilty. It is your fault.
Yeah, no, you did this.
Yes.
I hate you.
And Xaden is like, that's fair. You are correct.
Yeah, you are right.
Everyone, including Xaden, hates Xaden right now.
That's
it's not everyone. It's like Taryn and Xaden hate Xaden. And
judging by what happens later, it is kind of everyone.
It is kind of everyone.
Yeah.
It's fine, but we'll get to that later.
Fine.
He points out that basically she's suffering now as a direct consequence of him keeping secrets from her. He's like, I waited for you to tell her. You should have told her about the venom, and now she's suffering because you didn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Violet awakens and Xaden checks her injuries. There's only a thin silver line, which I underlined, we'll get into in the discussion, left of the wound. At first, yeah, I know. At first, Violet seems not to remember what's happened, and she kisses Xaden, and then all of a sudden it all comes rushing back to her, and she remembers everything. We find out that Andarna something's happened to her. Xaden says she's fine, but she's really big now. Don't get anything else on her.
Yeah, that's all we got.
Andarna's changed, but we don't know how, but she's fine, apparently. Violet realizes that Melgren can't see the marked ones when they're in groups of more than 3, and that's why there's that rule against.
Yes, against the 3.
Against a group of 3. 3.
More than 3. More than 3.
More than 3. Xaden loves her so much. Oh, this whole time, basically, he's trying to answer her questions, but instead of her asking any questions, she is just figuring all of this out. And Xaden's like, she's brilliant. I love this woman. We find out that he has indeed been obsessed with her since he saw her.
Yeah.
I have things to read to back up my claims, and I feel vindicated, let me tell you. We also find out that Serena is the name of the Griffin Flyer that found them, and she's alive.
I love her.
And her sister's also alive, but everyone else, all of the other Griffin Flyers died. Bodhi, Garrick, and Xaden discuss Violet and how she will need to decide whether or not to keep their secret, and then they discuss a box that was at Ressin, which is the thing that the Venom and the dragons were drawn to. I have page 627 quote. Funny how people rename everything that makes them feel uncomfortable. We lost faith that our king would ever do the right thing, and they call us traitors.
Ouch.
Just putting that there. Violet tells Xaden that she will fight with them for the right side, but she's not going to trust Xaden with her heart again.
Yeah.
And Xaden says he'll work hard every single day to earn her trust back, and because she still loves him, he knows that it will be possible to earn that back. And then I have another quote that's really important. There's a knock at the door. They keep talking. There's another knock at the door. And then he says, you have about 20 seconds to ask a question if I know him, whoever's at the door. She blinks. I'm still hoping that missive at Athbine was really about the war games. Do you think there's any chance we just happened to end up in the middle of a wyvern attack at that outpost? That definitely wasn't an accident, little sister, he says from the doorway. I sigh and move to the side, watching Violet's eyes widen as she sees him standing in the doorway. Told you I knew better, Poison Masters, I tell her softly. You weren't healed, you were mended. Brennan? She stares at her brother in open-mouthed shock. Brennan just grins and opens his arms. Welcome to the revolution, Violet. The end. The end. Ah!
I think I actually screamed when I read that.
It is.
First time.
It is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's a great cliffhanger.
It's a great cliffhanger, that's true.
It's so good.
That brings us to the end of our chapter recap.
Yay!
So I think it's time for section superlatives.
Yes.
I voted to not do a drama queen because this section was so horribly tragic. I don't think anyone was dramatic except for maybe Brennan.
I was gonna say, I think it's Brennan.
Faked his death.
For 6 years. If that's not drama queen behavior, I don't know what is. He's the biggest drama queen of this entire series.
Faked his death, didn't tell anyone, and then very casually he's like, I'm alive, surprise.
Yeah,
Excuse me?
it's such older brother energy, I feel like.
I would punch my brother in the face
I don't have older brothers,
did that to me.
But I do have brothers, and it just feels
I would be so upset. I would not hug him.
I would. We learn of a different sibling reaction later. Spoiler, I guess.
Spoiler, I guess.
It's a minor spoiler,
Yeah.
and her reaction is more similar to probably what mine would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would punch him in the face.
Yeah.
And then I would hug him. And then I'd slap him. I would be so furious.
I wouldn't be able to see straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. And then I have, let's see, craziest thing to happen?
All of it. Brennan.
Again
me.
for Brennan. Yeah, it's Brennan. I mean,
Hence why he's the drama queen.
The-
It was not what I was expecting. I had no
No.
inkling at all. Especially not the first go round.
not at all. I figured, so we find out that they're in Orisha is the location that they're in. And it was burned to the ground, but they've been secretly rebuilding it, essentially.
Yeah.
I suspected something like that with all of the secret missions and all of that.
Yeah, not surprised.
I did not expect Brennan to just casually be alive.
No.
What do you mean?
I am not usually phenomenal at finding, cliffhanger, big things at the end or whatever. No clue.
Absolutely not.
At this. Anyway, regardless, I don't usually figure it out, but this one I feel like really no one ever figured it out. there wasn't really a hint. Outside of
Yeah.
maybe a few things that Xaden said, if you go back and read it, you can kind of tell that he's hinting that he knows more
About her family.
Her family than maybe
Yeah.
she seems to, but
I was completely distracted. Like, I completely thought it was the mom thing.
me too.
Like, there's something between them, which I think we still don't know what that is yet at this point in time.
Not fully, no.
Yeah. That was crazy. Also, like, the whole thing with the wyvern, like, they're like, there's 4 venom, and then there's, like, literally dozens and dozens of wyvern.
Oh.
And then the blue fire snapping into place, that's what Mira saw on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you kill a venom and all of the wyvern that they've created die.
Yes.
That's wild.
Liam dying.
I know. That was such a shock.
That was a big shock for me. I was not expecting it.
I wasn't either. Like, Soleil died, and I was like, okay.
No one,
because
like,
we know this
crazy
book.
important has died yet. Yeah.
And then killing Liam was, like, just so unbelievably heartbreaking. I can't even.
But we can get more into it in a minute. But
Yes.
Yeah.
And then badass Violet moment. I actually have one.
Oh, okay.
Violet choosing the right side even though it means she'll die. She thinks about the fact that her mother has a tearish dagger in her office. She's like, my mother's, at this point she doesn't know that Brennan's alive yet. She's like, my mother sacrificed one child to the cause of Navarre to keep this conspiracy, to be a coward and all of that already. She might as well have sacrificed too. I'm not going
she
to.
still technically sacrificed.
She did.
Brennan.
She did. She doesn't know.
She doesn't know, yeah.
I don't think she knows. We don't know if she knows, but I don't think she knows.
Either way, I mean,
Yeah. That is still sacrifice.
still sacrificing
Yeah.
one of her children to do that. Yeah.
And Violet's just like, yeah, I guess she's gonna sacrifice too now. I am not leaving. I will stay and fight. That was like such an incredible moment.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, just lightning bolt after lightning bolt. It is a little funny that she's so bad at aiming. Like, that comic relief was really necessary, I think.
In that moment, you needed it because it was so heavy.
Yeah, but she literally, she's ready to die from the moment that they see those wires. She's like, I will die defending the innocent. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, which I love. I love a woman who stands by her principles, which she's shown. Like, I don't think it's surprising because she's shown that throughout the series.
Agreed.
Throughout the book, I guess. Well, I mean, throughout the series, yes, but throughout this book.
Okay, I have a few things to read in deep dive discussion, but I think we can go to Colleen's Corner now. Colleen's Corner.
Oh, okay. Colleen's Corner. It's Liam's death.
Oh, okay, great.
That's my corner. Partially because, so I think at this point, it is no shocker how much I love Liam.
Yeah.
And his death and all of these things. I did have a thought on it, and it just flew out of my brain. Oh.
Speak louder.
I'm not good at that. Sorry. We'll speak louder. I think one of the things that, like, really got me in terms of, I'm distraught over all of this. Even talking about it a little bit
I
makes
know,
me
it's hard.
cry. So one of my favorite quotes from the novel actually comes from him while he's dying. And it's when she knows. It's when she's talking to Violet. If I'm ever going to get a bookish tattoo, it would be this quote. But that it's been my honor.
Yeah.
Killed me because Violet's, like, sobbing, being
I'm
like...
about to sob right now.
Because she's
We're
like,
fine.
you were forced to be my friend. Like, why would you sacrifice yourself for me? And he's like, I wasn't forced to do anything.
Yeah.
I also don't think Xaden could have forced Liam to do something he didn't want to do regardless.
No.
I think he did it because he wanted to, which is complicated because of their relationship. But
Yeah.
I am always just like,
It's been an honor.
it's been my honor. Yeah. Like, and just also, like, her, like, the whole visual of, like, him saying that and then him begging to see his dragon before he dies.
Yeah.
And her trying to drag him over and she's not strong enough to do it. And just the meltdown. And then,
I know.
And then the unspoken thing between him and Xaden where he's, like,
Yeah.
dying. Like, I think he held it together a little bit for Violet. He definitely did not hold it together with Xaden.
No.
And so Xaden's like, I got it. I understand it. And Xaden
Yeah.
actually drags him over
Yeah.
to Day. I don't know if Day is dead by the time he gets over there.
I think Day might be dead
which is
already.
really heartbreaking.
So sad.
Yeah,
It's so
just-
sad.
All of it is awful.
It is. Actually, interesting point, because he's definitely Violet's protector, and he sees himself that way, but Xaden is his protector.
Oh, and has been the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Was in their foster family. They were in the same foster family. Definitely protected him, helped him. And, like, he's also been separated from him
Yeah.
for 2 years. Because he's in his 3rd year. So he's also missed his person. He hasn't seen them for 2 years. Doesn't have a sister. Probably was alone.
Yeah.
In this context for a while. And then finally gets his dragon.
Yeah.
Honestly, him and Jasenia.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
upset about
I know,
him and
me
Jasenia
too.
not being- I actually assumed that was what she was leading
I
towards.
thought so as well.
And I was really excited about it.
Me too.
Yeah,
I
was
like their relationship would have been so amazing.
Yeah, it's mostly just my heartbreak over him.
I know. I really do hope
dying.
Jasenia gets like a good. I want her to find love.
I do too. There's some stuff with that in the next book. I don't think you remember.
I don't remember it all.
I will tell you after we're done
Okay.
recording because I actually I like it.
Okay.
I actually forgot about it until I reread, which
Great.
is interesting because I was mainly focused on different relationships,
Yeah.
not that one, and that one pinged in my brain the second time I read it.
Okay.
So.
Great.
Yeah, it's truly just me being heartbroken over
Yeah.
Liam, and I really just wanted to bring up the "It's been my honor" quote. There's other things, but like that one you see a lot, and there's a reason you see it a lot. It's really impactful,
Super.
especially in the moment, and I also think it's a really sweet,
It is.
like, sentiment.
Yeah, it's you know, Violet has a lot of work to do to trust the people around her because of the situation that she's grown up in.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, like, the fact that Liam loved her and trusted her is, like...
incredible.
Yeah.
That he wanted to love her.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, was willing to love her,
Was
maybe.
willing to, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he accepted it way faster than,
Immediately.
than anyone.
Like, yeah. He was,
even
like,
in Zayden.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he liked Violet pretty much immediately.
I think so, too.
Yeah, which is fun. And sad, and I love him. And Day was also really...
I know, Day was great.
A really cool dragon. Oh, so the concept... That was the other thing. So that I think is interesting that we don't fully get... I'm a little all over the map. It's fine. That
We're emotional.
I am actually really distraught. That this is like really when we see, and Violet like talks about how gut-wrenching it is to see someone perfectly healthy dying. There was nothing wrong with Liam.
Yeah.
There was nothing
In fact, he
physically
was,
wrong.
like, in superior form.
Like, he was perfectly fine. There was nothing, like, not even a scratch on his body, and he just died because his dragon did.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing that he could do, none of them could do to stop it.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things where it's like, we're so used to media and books and stuff being, like, there's always a way.
Yeah, always a way to fix it.
There's always a way to fix it,
There
and
wasn't a
there
way to
was
fix
no
this.
way.
It really, like, smacked in my face, I
Yeah.
think, the, like, war element
Mm-hmm.
of this book, which Rebecca Yarros' husband is in the military.
Yes.
And has been for a while, so I think that's where some of this comes in.
Yeah.
But it really, like, brings home that, like, war and heartbreak and all of that.
People dying for no reason.
Yeah, and it's not, like, because they were trying to become something.
Yeah.
Like, they were murdered.
Yes.
Like, this is, like, they were murdered. This
Yes.
wasn't, like, they fell off of something or, you know... So, like, I don't know how to explain it. This one feels different than, like, the ones that we had seen previously at the college.
It does.
So, that's all I had.
All right.
I'm just really sad about Liam.
We're really sad. Let's go to deep dive. Time for a deep dive. I had a few things to discuss here.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
I wanted to talk about this whole wyvern, venom, dragon rider thing.
Okay.
So Andarna says in one of the chapters, and Violet recalls it in chapter 36, that nature likes balance.
It does.
And that's a running theme in a lot of fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, nature always demands a balance. Even in, like, books that are about witches and magic, there's always a price for magic. There's always, you know.
Yes, that balance, yeah.
The balance that we find here is the venom. Dragon riders are truly overpowered beings.
Oh, yeah.
They are incredibly powerful, they're strong, they're nearly fearless, their dragons can kill anything and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so almost like nature demands a balance, that is why venom exists.
Yeah, because dragons exist and they chose riders, venom exists.
Venom exists. And so, like, it's actually, rather than dragons and wyverns being counterparts and humans or riders and venom, it's like venom and dragons are counterparts.
Yeah.
Dragons are the ones who channel energy to
Make that choice.
right?
Yeah.
Venom are the ones who channel the energy. They make that choice.
Yeah.
And then you have the whole thing with because dragons are so fearsome and whatever, wyvern were created to combat them, but their lives are tied to the venom instead of the other way around. And like, So this is another thing. Dragons have chosen to only bond to one human, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Venom create multiple wyvern, so they can create as many wyvern as they want, but if you kill them, then all of their wyvern die.
There doesn't seem to be, as far as we know, consequences for that.
Yeah. There doesn't seem to be, except for like their weird eyes, and I do have a description of them that I'll read.
Okay.
But then the other interesting part about this whole interaction and experience, even though the marked ones are Tyrish, and in theory, they should have known, they know that venom exists, they have no idea about the wyvern. They have no idea about how that works with each other.
It seems like maybe Liam had somewhat of an idea.
Yes, but like how? And I'm so curious.
We don't know.
Did he figure it out?
Well, so something that was brought up, it could be figured out, but they also mentioned, so the box that, I think they mentioned in this, the box that they find is, like, has Liam's family's crest on it.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if maybe his family had a little bit more knowledge than maybe the broader, like, Tyrish population.
It's possible. And then the last thing about them that's a parallel. So yes, they are the dragon's counterpart. However, Violet has this moment with the venom that's on Taryn's back where she's like, she's a student, just like me.
Yeah, wild. They have a structure.
They have a structure, they have a hierarchy, they have organization, they are intelligent beings.
Which is, I think, not what
they expected.
No.
Yes. I'm going to read this description of the venom because it's real creepy and I like it. My gaze sweeps the rooftops of the little post until I see it. Him. Whatever. There's a figure standing at the top of a wooden clock tower wearing purple floor-length robes that billow in the wind while he hurls blue flames like daggers at the civilians below. He's more terrifying than any illustrator could have depicted. Rivers of red veins fanning in every direction around soulless eyes consumed by magic. His face is gaunt, with sharp cheekbones and thin lips, a gnarled hand gripping a long red cane made of some misshapen wood. So they are the stuff of nightmares.
Honestly, when you're, especially like the boniness, it like invokes very similar to the cereal for me. It's a very similar description. It's not as like Grim Reaper-esque. It's more zombie-esque.
Yeah.
Like, so like I feel like the cereal is like based off the Grim Reaper. This is based off of almost like a zombie type thing with more of a brain. But yeah,
for sure,
terrifying.
And then I have to vindicate. I must be vindicated. I have maintained throughout this entire season, as someone who comes to it like we're trying to do it no spoiler, even reading the book, I have maintained throughout that Xaden has been obsessed with Violet since the very beginning.
Yes.
And I have proof, and I'm gonna read it for all of you.
She acts like I argued with her about this.
I do.
I did not. This is not an argument that we've had.
Listen.
As far as I know, what the listeners have had. This is Orja vindicating Orja.
Yes, this is very true.
I do think I was like, I don't know, but I also was trying not to have spoilers in the beginning because, like, again, I am the queen of spoilers. Yes. I will just give them away if I'm not careful.
I did try to hold it at bay, but as soon as they started flirting, I was like, he loves her. Very clearly. Is obsessed with her. Okay, this is a long passage, so bear with me, folks. She can't die, and not just because there's a chance I won't survive. She can't die because I know I can't live without her, even if I do. Somewhere between the shock of our attraction at the top of that turret to realizing she risked her own life by giving up a boot for someone else on the parapet that first day, to her throwing those daggers at my head under the oak tree, I wavered. I should have realized the danger of getting too close the first time I put her on her back and showed her how easily she could kill me on the mat. A vulnerability I've allowed no one else, but I brushed it off as an undeniable attraction to a new, uniquely beautiful woman. When I watched her conquer the gauntlet, then defend Andarna at threshing, I stumbled, stunned by both her cunning and her sense of honor. When I burst into her room and found Oren's treacherous hand at her throat, the rage that made it so easy to kill all 6 of them without batting an eye should have told me I was headed for a cliff. And when she smiled at me after mastering her shield in mere minutes, her face lighting up as the snow fell around us, expletive, I freaking fell. We hadn't even kissed and I fell. Obsessed.
No, he has been. I do think it really, personally, if I was going to, like, read that, I do think he, like, was intrigued by her at the parapet. It's the knives.
It's the knives.
The throwing knives really did it for him.
Yes. I do think when he realized she, like, gave one of her boots to this stranger so that they wouldn't die, he was like, oh.
Who was this girl?
Yeah. Like, not at all like her, like, cutthroat, murderous mom at all. You know?
Even, like, Mira.
Or even, yeah.
But Mira's incredible.
Yeah.
But Mira would never give up her boot for nothing.
No.
Brennan would never have given up his boot for
Absolutely
another
not.
person.
Violet is a...
Uniquely...
Yes.
Uniquely... selfless, I guess, is maybe the word, but kind of. Because I wouldn't say that what she did was selfless.
She has a very firm stance on what is right, and preventing innocent death is right.
Yeah, she's got a very strong moral compass.
Yes.
And it's consistent for her.
Yes.
That does not waver. Even in the next book, that really doesn't waver.
Yeah. This is the beginning, I fear, of the Violet Zayden not communicating, only fighting.
If there's a trope that I hate, and I have complained about this so much, we've not really done a book that's had this too much miscommunication.
Thank God. Yeah.
It's my least favorite, and it's a really common trope in romance novels, which I love, and I hate it.
Yeah, it kills me.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, just freaking talk.
Just talk.
Just talk to each other.
There is this book series that handles it very well. It's that A Curse of Shadows and Thorns.
Oh.
The one with the, like, it's also the first one is like a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Yes,
as well.
which is very good. I forgot about that.
And like their miscommunication lasts all of 2 chapters at the most in each book.
Which is fine.
Which is great. That's an appropriate amount. While they're miscommunicating, they are both very clear on the fact that they love each other and they're doing what they're doing because they love each other.
Yeah.
And it takes all of 2 chapters for them to be like, "Are you an idiot? I love you. Stop doing this." And they very quickly get over it. That is the kind of miscommunication I can deal with.
Well, it also feels more normal.
Yes.
Yeah. To me personally, I feel like a lot of the times, this might be a hot take, I've heard this before, when authors use prolonged miscommunication, I will say I don't think in this situation that's what's happening in Iron Flame, because that's essentially what's happening. I don't think it's less communication. It's just lack of communication.
Yes.
I would say Rebecca Yarros does it well. She's one of the few people that I've seen it do well. It did irritate me, and some people do disagree with me on that, I will say. Some people did not like that at all in Iron Flame. But, like, just, like, very traditional, like, especially modern romance novels that use miscommunication, I'm like,
we'll wait for the bell. I forgot about the bell.
Bell.
Guys, if you're in the St. Louis area, and Town and Country isn't too far of a drive for you, come check out Steampunk Brewworks. They're amazing.
They are very fun.
They're incredible. Their beer is like some of the best I've ever had.
It's very yummy.
And there's a great community of regulars who hang out here, us included.
Yes. This is actually
Sort of.
where, so, well, kind of.
I live in Jersey now, but you know.
Regular in spirit.
Yeah.
So this is actually where our book club, where we, like, first hung out after work was.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yes.
was here. So this is really where we became friends.
It is.
Also in the office, but, like, really.
It was really here.
It was really here.
And my husband actually used to be a bartender here, so I would hang out here all the time. And everyone who comes here is lovely. The beer's incredible.
The beer is really, clearly.
Yes, I've been talking too much, but even still, I feel like I've had quite a lot.
This is surprising. She always drinks faster
I do
than me.
usually drink
Not in a bad
faster.
way. I'm just a slow drinker.
So anyways, what were you saying?
I actually forgot my train of thought.
Right.
The
Miscommunication in Iron Flame.
Oh, so Iron Flame, it does get annoying. I
Yes.
will state, but I think it makes sense for the plot of what's happening. It's less miscommunication and more just lack of communication.
Mhm.
Mine is when 2 people clearly are thinking a different thought about the same thing and they're not communicating, and it's like a modern romance. Like, we live in an age where there are 18,000 ways to communicate with somebody.
Mhm.
You have no excuse.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I also agree with, from what I remember of Iron Flame, like, I'm excited to read it again.
I will say, upon reread, I had a very different perspective on it. The
Okay.
first time I was like, what is happening? And I kind of understood, like, I think a lot of people, when they read Iron Flame, there was a lot of, like, disappointment, I would say.
Yes.
The first time, rereading it,
Mhm.
and, like, especially reading Fourth Wing again.
Mhm.
Because I read Fourth Wing and then surely straight went
Straight
into
into
Iron Flame, because
yeah.
I have no chill. and cannot tell myself no, so I did this like months ago. Went into it and I was like, oh, like once you listen to Violet's reasoning for why it's happening, and also listen to Xaden's both, I see why both of them are actually upset the whole time.
And I can see that even now.
Yeah,
even now.
it makes more sense.
They do have a lot to overcome for their relationship. It's like Romeo and Juliet on steroids with them.
It is, with less stabbing.
With less stabbing, but like a
Themselves.
less stabbing themselves. But a whole lot of, there's so much more that they have to work through than Romeo and Juliet did. Romeo and Juliet just had warring families.
Yeah.
Violet and Xaden have political conspiracies, an entire, like, faction of terrifying monsters that they have to navigate around, while also keeping everyone they love safe. They have to deal with the death of Liam. Like, there's so much more.
So much trauma. Also, as much as I love them in Fourth Wing, there was not a lot of talking.
No.
They didn't, like, not about, like, real things.
No,
Like, they talked about things in school, and, like, I think they know, like, you know, the colors stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they know those kinds of things, but in terms of, like, about their family, like, which I would say, like, that might have happened off screen. It doesn't happen off screen because it happens on screen in this book.
Yes, this is correct.
Yeah, like, they didn't get into any of that.
No.
Which is common in an early relationship.
Yeah, it's fine.
They were very early in a relationship that I think was forced to be more serious.
Because of the circumstances?
Because of the circumstances.
I agree.
And I think that's why all of it's happening, is because they didn't have that, like, normal time frame.
Yes.
To get there. They were here, and now they have to be here.
Yeah, I agree. It is like in Vampire Diaries when Elena and Stefan are dating, and she has this one episode where she's like, can we just have, like, a normal human day where we, like, go on a date and no one dies and we're not, like, trying to fend off vampires? And obviously in the show it doesn't work out because it's the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, and Damon's around.
So and Damon's around, so it's not going to work. But no, it's very, But it is very that, where it's like, they haven't had a normal day. They haven't had a normal second where, like, especially, like, and Violet didn't necessarily know that. Like, she didn't know that, but Xaden has never had a normal moment in his entire life since his dad died.
Honestly, even a little
even
bit
before
his dad died. There's some spoilery stuff that we won't get into, but, like, there's a reason he doesn't talk about his mom.
Yeah.
We can just throw that out there.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's wild.
It is wild. It's wild. I wanted to talk about Brennan and the mending. Okay, let's talk about the mending first. So, Violet was not healed. She was mended with Brennan's signet. Mm-hmm. And all that's left of this wound from a poisoned dagger is a silver line.
Which is wild.
Because her hair shifts to silver.
It does.
And I know that we just talked about how it would be really cool if it didn't mean anything.
But
it's a very interesting connection there. Because it's a very, like, he didn't say a thin line.
No, it's
he said a thin silver line. And usually a scar that's been mended would be like a red or a brown.
Yeah. My thought, this is a wild thing. Not that, like, it's a thing, but this has nothing to do with, like, a theory. If I realized that and I was Violet, I would cut myself and have Brenda mend it, where I would give myself tattoos that were silver.
Oh my god. Yes. All right, you heard it here first, folks.
Yes.
Folks. We're getting matching dragon tattoos.
We are. I'm so excited about it.
Don't know when it's happening, but it's happening. We'll definitely have to show them off on the podcast.
100%.
We'll show them when we get them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Depending on where we get them. Yes.
Yes. At least one of us will show them.
Yes.
It will be matching.
I'm not planning on doing anything weird, but you never know.
I'm running out of space.
I have a lot of space.
I technically have a lot of space, but I'm also kind of running out of space. Like,
it's space where you would want to put
them.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. We are very excited about the dragon. We've talked about this for a while.
A long time.
Yes, but if I was Violet, I would do that.
Yes.
Because I think it's interesting.
That is such a good point.
Yeah.
What comes to mind for me with the silver, and again, I know that we already talked about this not really having significance.
Yeah.
But if it was going to have significance, did someone mended her for something, and it's coming out in her hair? Like, someone mended her brain.
Oh.
And it's coming out in her hair.
I didn't think about that. And then they do talk about, like, how she was, like, sick as a child.
Yes.
Like, that's not new.
Yeah.
By any means.
Not new. And she's so different from the rest of her family.
She is.
So someone mended something in her brain, and because it's in the head, her hair goes to silver like the mended scar. This is not this is a half-baked theory.
I mean, it's one of the better theories I've heard about her hair.
Thank you.
And, like, one of the ones that I haven't heard, like, been debunked. Because, like, one of the common ones is that, like, her father's, like, the god of death, and Rebecca's like, no. Which I do like that theory, but Rebecca said no.
Yes.
So that's not it.
So I guess not.
But no, I never thought about it being, like, a scarring thing. I kind of thought about it a little bit being a scarring thing just because she was like, I was sick as a kid.
Yes.
And that was just, like, a representation of my sickness.
Yeah.
But not in the way of, like, because she was mended.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, I'm curious if all people who are mended get a silver scar.
Yeah.
Or if it's only
just
Violet.
her.
Because I don't know if anyone else who's been, like, we know Jack was mended.
Yes.
But we don't ever hear about
We don't hear about the scar.
Scarring.
Yeah. So, like, Violet is our chosen one. We just don't know how yet.
Don't know how, or really why.
Or why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Brennan. Okay, so, like, the implications.
I really like Brennan, by the way.
I kind of want to punch him.
No, you should.
With I mean, we've read the second book, and so we're not spoiling anything because we're not going to be specific, but I kind of want to punch him.
Yes.
He makes me upset, and it's just because of everything his family had to go through.
So that part infuriates me.
Yeah.
His actual personality, though, is really great.
He's pretty cute.
Don't get me started. I really love him. But there's something about his, like, he talks very intelligently. He's incredibly smart and really, like, commanding in the way that he does things.
Yeah.
And to me, those are very attractive traits.
Yeah.
Zayden has them, but I think Zayden is still a little young.
He is young.
And working on them.
This
Brennan's
is where
there.
we get like, in the second book, so Zayden has been, like, the older authority.
And he's not in the second book.
He's not.
And he struggles.
Yes.
He struggles.
Yes.
He does get there.
Yeah.
I
I love Zayden so much.
I also love Zayden. I'm not saying that I don't love Zayden.
Yeah.
It's the person, something inside of me tells me that I can't love the main character more than a side character. And my favorite one died, so I have to find a new one.
That's fair.
Yes.
Fair. Also, because Zayden is spoken for.
Also that, yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast. If someone has, like, a direct partner in a book, that's their person. And, like, I'm not going to compete with that. Because that's their person. Why would I?
That is
So I gotta
totally
find
fair.
a side character that doesn't have a person yet.
Yeah. No, that's, like, very legit.
Yeah.
Very legit.
They have a person. I'm not going to interfere.
My poor husband has had to deal with me just gushing over Zayden for the past, like, 2 months. And,
like, he
like,
bailed out of the car that time.
that's why. Well, yeah.
Because I do think that's what we were talking about.
We were talking about ACOTAR. We were talking about...
we were talking about ACOTAR.
Rhysand.
Oh, also valid.
Who I love.
You do love.
So much. And he just bailed out of a moving vehicle. I don't know if we've told the story, but
I don't think we have.
Colleen came to visit me, and it was amazing. And we were going to dinner, and it was going to be like a second job work, a podcast work dinner.
I mean, this is the second job.
This is the second job where we get paid $0, but that's fine.
And we're working towards it.
We're working on it.
We're gonna look back on this,
and we're gonna be like, look at us. So I was, like, trying to convince my husband, Joel. I was like, come to dinner. He was like, I don't want to intrude. And we were like, you're not going to intrude. Like, definitely come hang out with us.
We love Joel.
Yeah, we love Joel. And he was like, okay. And so he got in the car, and I was pulling out of the driveway, and we were, like, talking like we do on this podcast, just, like, incessantly about Rhysand, about ACOTAR. And I, like, stopped to shift the gear, and I hear the door slam.
I will also state it had been a while since I had seen you.
It had been.
So we were really excited.
We were very excited. We get extremely hyped up.
You can't tell by the podcast energy. This is actually kind of calm for us. We're being mildly professional for this.
We've seen each other a lot.
We have, yes.
Yeah.
Which I love.
It's amazing. So we're not as, like, unhinged as normal.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I had barely stopped to switch the gears and I heard the door slam, which means this was while the car was moving. And then I look out the window and his face is right there and he's like, I'm gonna stay at home. You guys have fun, love you. And just like booked it back to the apartment.
It's the closest I've seen Joel to running. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, just booked it out of a moving vehicle to get away from us.
Mm-hmm. We promise we're fun.
Yes.
We make friends a lot.
We do make a lot of friends.
We do.
We do.
But Joel was just deciding that was not the day.
But if you're... I will say, if you're romantically involved with one of us,
yes,
this isn't the energy you want to be around. You know, like when we're together talking about our like hot boys in our books that we're...
They're also fictional.
They're fictional. They're not real.
They're not real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. Joel understands this. He knows this. He thinks it's funny. But I think that he was just like, I'm not sitting through 2 hours of this.
Which is very valid.
It's valid.
It was valid because that is what we talked about
the entire time. Sorry, Joel.
We love you, Joel.
So, Brennan, the implications.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Orisha has been rebuilt.
Yes.
Zayden says that it's not like a secret, but no one is paying attention to that place because it was burned to the ground.
No one really cares.
So, like, they haven't told anyone, but it's not like a secret. Eventually, someone's gonna find out.
Yeah.
But then it turns out that it must be a secret because Brennan is alive and hanging out in Orisha.
Just chilling. Just mending people. Doing his thing.
Just, you know.
Just doing the thing.
I would like to know, this brings into question to me Brennan's relationship with his father. Because his father, we've mentioned in previous episodes, clearly knew something and wanted Violet to, I assume, learn this. Learn that everything is a conspiracy, that history has been rewritten to hide what's actually going on.
Yeah, very clearly left clues for her.
Yeah.
And seemingly none for Brendan.
Right.
Brennan.
Right, seemingly none for Brennan. So what does that mean?
I think it means that he didn't know, figured it out, and lost his mind. I think Brennan is a lot like their mother. I think Brennan is what their mother would be if she made the right choice. Mira is as well, but I think Mira's a little bit of an in-between. I think what we see of Brennan later, I think he's a lot like their mother. And I think if Lilith made the correct choices, that's complicated.
It's complicated.
Especially in the next book. But if she made the correct choices, I think she is what Brennan is.
And so, like, their dad... Ooh, I keep kicking the table.
It's fine.
So their dad maybe... I think that he loved Lilith a lot. I don't think he necessarily trusted her with the knowledge that he had.
I can't decide, because I'm curious about that, and that could be something, maybe a difference is... I wonder what Lilith, in terms of, like, how she was handling Brennan, because Violet was pretty young when Brennan died. I gotta get that name right. When Brennan died, I have a friend named Brendan.
His birthday party was yesterday.
His actual birthday is today, so if you're seeing this, Brendan, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Brendan.
It will be later, but happy birthday. So I keep slipping up saying Brendan because that's his name. Anywho, but Brendan was quite a bit older, and so I'm curious if Lilith, before her husband died, was different. Well, no, I don't know.
Maybe Brennan died before the husband died.
That's true. That's true.
So...
complicated.
It's complicated.
He definitely has a lot happening.
Yeah. And then I want to know more. So we get the name of the Griffin Flyer, Serena. We don't get her sister's name, but we know that her sister's alive.
I have so many thoughts, but we have to wait till the next one.
We do. So, like, it's still very unclear what the extent of their relationship is, but Zayden and all of the marked ones know the Griffin Flyers pretty well because they have been conducting these secret missions to get them the supplies to fight the Venom this whole time.
And it seems like her name's Serena, right?
Yes.
It seems like Serena's been the main point of we don't know why, but it seems like Serena's been the main point of contact for a while.
For a while, yeah. And even the fact that she was, like, we're not here to ask you to fight with us. We're all going to die. We're here to tell you to leave.
In terms of, like, female characters in this novel, she's one of my favorites from what we see of her. Like, she seems like a natural leader. She's a smart leader.
Yes.
And she also seems like she has the thing of, like, I'm not going to put more people in danger for no reason.
She has integrity.
Oh, 100%.
She's, whatever the situation between Navarre and whatever is, even when they show up to fight and Violet's there, and they don't trust Violet, because why would they?
No. I mean,
But-
nor is a Sorrengail.
Exactly.
Well, if they knew Brennan, but we also don't know.
We don't know if they know Brennan.
As Brennan or even him as a Sorrengail.
Yeah.
Because if I was him, I would change my name.
I would too. And, like, even if they do know that, they don't know, because if they did know everything about Brennan, they would also know that he faked his death.
Yes.
So that makes it a little different.
Makes it complicated.
Yes.
Makes it very complicated.
Very complicated.
Also, just a sidebar comment, I guess, about all of that. Can you imagine being Xaden? Knowing that this girl's brother is alive. She talked about his death.
Yes.
To him.
Yes. It's like specifically when she's like, my brother died on this day, but so did your dad.
Yeah. And him being like, well, I mean, and technically he died to her. Like, that is accurate. Because, like, she hasn't had contact with him. But I can't imagine just sitting there and being like, I can't tell her.
No.
That would be wild.
I cannot.
And I took that as, like, Brennan didn't want her to know.
Yes.
Because I honestly think that is a tidbit maybe that Xaden would have told her.
I think so. Honestly.
If not for, I think, Brennan's wishes.
Yes. Also, just going along with that, it just makes me love Xaden even more, because the entire book, he's like, yes, her mom killed my dad, but my dad killed her brother. But he knows that didn't happen.
The whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, his dad tried to kill him.
We don't know. Did he try to kill him?
I mean, he did almost die.
That's true.
Like, he did almost die.
I don't remember.
Somehow Naolan succeeded. We don't know how, and we don't... That brings into question Naolan's whereabouts and if he's been in or not to save him, or if he actually burned out. We don't really know.
I guess that's true.
That's a theory. But, I mean, technically, someone
killed, or very nearly killed Brennan.
So that whole, like, nature of balance thing of, like, someone died.
Yeah.
It just happened to not be Brennan, it was Naolan.
Yeah. Nature always demands balance.
Balance.
Never learned that more than you do when you watch Vampire Diaries.
Truly.
So,
Plus, anything relatively magical has this, like, balance theme.
It's the balance, because magic is natural and nature does demand balance.
It does, but I do think it would be kind of fun to read a book where it doesn't.
Me too.
Get a little,
honestly, ACOTAR, there's no balance required.
Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
Specifically, Throne of Glass is not really a balance.
There's no balance required.
No, I love an overpowered character.
Me too.
I'm gonna be honest.
Honestly, give me overpowered characters.
They're my favorite. I love them.
Too.
It's fantasy. Why does it have to be realistic?
Exactly. I'm not reading it to be grounded in reality.
No, it's a fantasy book. Fantasy.
Fantasy.
No, I've had this argument with people.
I agree with you 100%.
It's people that read science fiction that happen to read a fantasy novel. They're like, this character's overpowered. And I'm like, one, this isn't a video game.
Yes.
Also. Two, it's not real.
Yeah. I don't read science fiction. Let me rephrase that. I have read science fiction, and I have enjoyed it.
It has to be a really good one.
It has to be a really good one, and it has to blur the lines between science fiction and fantasy. For me, personally.
That's fair. I have read some that have been pure science fiction that I have really liked.
Other than Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. That one's great.
It's kind of magical.
It is kind of magical.
Bringing
That's true.
someone back from the dead is kind of magical.
Science fiction.
Yeah. But, like, magically.
I guess you're right. I only like the fantasy. I only like fantasy science fiction.
I guess in my mind, monsters are more in the fantasy realm, but I guess in theory, that's the complicated part is he's not really a monster. Anyhow. Go read Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I do like certain sci-fi. It has to be, like, I've read Ender's Game. I love Ender's Game.
I have not read it, but I saw the movie.
You should. It's genuinely very good. It's a lot of what I like about fantasy also really translates well into science fiction. The social dynamics in science fiction is really intriguing because you take away the magic part and you're just kind of left with the like more interesting social dynamics. In terms of social dynamics, I think sci-fi does it a lot better.
Another sci-fi book that is kind of magical is the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson.
I started it. I got sad.
Yeah.
In the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I took a break and I haven't gone back.
You should go back. It's one of those books, this is like a no spoiler review. It starts as one thing in book 1, and then book 2 is something so different, but the theme is there, and then book 3 is like, it is very well written, and it keeps you on your toes, and it does not follow like the formula of a series.
Yes,
is what I would say.
It's been incredibly recommended to me, which is why I started it. But I was also, it's very intricate, which is great. But I listened to them at work. I got a Kindle recently. It might actually be my Kindle read.
You should read it.
Because listening to it while you're working, I had to rewind.
No, you have to pay attention.
And I was like, I went on what's happening, and then it was just sad. And like, I was just like, oh wait, who was this character? I missed their introduction. Yeah. So there was just a lot to keep up with.
Highly recommend. I did binge read the entire series in about a month during the first few months of lockdown and COVID. To give context to my mindset.
Yeah.
I was very depressed, and I read this book, and it was incredible.
It's considered by a lot of people outside of like, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, like the best fantasy novel.
Honestly, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a little bit of controversy with that. Some people are like, oh, Mistborn, it's over. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's overrated. I think it's so well written.
I think if you don't like Mistborn, then you don't like fantasy.
Yes, I would agree, because it blurs the line. It is science fiction fantasy. Yes. There's a huge fantasy element in it, but it is technically a science fiction novel as well.
Yes.
So
I think that's... And you don't like high fantasy, I guess maybe I should say.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, which I'm assuming it's high fantasy. Like, Lord of the Rings is considered high fantasy.
I would say it's like a modern high fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually in my brain, high fantasy is it's very, which is what I'm assuming this is, but what I've read is like kind of convoluted in a way that like it's really intricate.
Yes.
In the way that like things are structured and like the dynamics of how that all weaves into all of it.
Very much so. Anyways, highly recommend.
Yes.
Speaking of other books, this is the end of season 2 for us, Fourth Wing.
2 seasons, look at us.
Yeah, look at us. We did it.
We've done 2 whole books.
I know. It's kind of incredible. The next book that we're going to read for season 3, we are returning to the world of ACOTAR.
Yes! I have to reread it again for like the 5th time.
Me too! We're going to be reading A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas.
It is arguably the best book in the series.
Honestly, my favorite book in the series.
It is also my favorite. It's my favorite of the main 3.
Yes. Court of Silver Flames.
Silver Flames is like tied for me with The Court of Mist and Fury because they're essentially the same book with different characters.
Yeah, I agree.
In different ways.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, different characters.
So we will be revisiting that wonderful world. As you know, both of us have read that series a million times.
Yes.
So it'll be a nice, like, the holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice reread. It's going to be less intense, less of an emotional roller coaster. I think we're both ready for that a little bit.
Yes, I love Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing destroys me.
Completely.
It's supposed to, but it does.
It does.
I feel like ACOTAR is a little slower paced.
Yeah.
Fourth Wing is like boom, 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 boom.
Yes. ACOTAR also is like kind of cozy, especially A Court of Mist and Fury.
A Court of Mist and Fury is cozier, yes, because we're post... Court of Mist and Fury, as I will say, if I'm actually picking my favorite part of the book, it's the first half of A Court of Wings and Ruin. I'm not going to spoil why. That is actually my favorite.
That's fair.
Chunk.
That's fair.
Of all of them, and we'll get there.
That's fair.
And we can tell you why. It's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while.
Read it and see.
Yeah, so thanks so much for anyone who's listened all the way through. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, thanks, not Mom, because you don't listen to this season. But
my mom is our biggest fan.
Yeah.
Her reviews
are great. Yeah.
They're great.
They're
I need her to
incredible.
leave comments for all of our reviews.
You should tell her to leave comments.
Because they're great.
Yeah.
She loves us doing it.
My mom will be joining us as a viewer again in season 3 because she
Mistake.
has read the first 3 books of that series.
Yeah.
So, all right, this is signing off, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.